What's going on, Scott? Nice to see you on here, bud. Kevin McFarland, good to see you. Old Jason being on here. Good evening, bud. Old Adam's even on here tonight. Make sure I'm doing a good enough job. I see how you are, Adam. Get a few people on here and we'll fire this thing up, guys. Who's all out there? Let me know. They sure did, Scott. I got the pictures. It's perfect. Get that in right before that rain, I'll tell you. That game changer will do very good for you. Do very, very well. Rob, good to see you on here, bud. Chris, hope it's going good out there in Ohio. Old Jeffrey from Wisconsin. Good to see you, bud. Yeah, that weed would do good for you, Scott. It'd do good for a nurse crop. Howdy, Ricky. Let's give her a couple more minutes and I'm going to fire it up. Hope you guys got a lot of questions tonight because this is actually a pretty easy topic to go with. Heck, let's just fire it up. I like to start this off tonight. I really like to thank all you guys out there and the ones that'll be watching here soon because, for the last 7 weeks, I've been on the road every weekend at the shows, taking back off again tomorrow, getting ready to head up to Wisconsin for the big classic. And I have never had so many people like I have this year come up to me at the shows and tell me they watch this Turnin Dirt. Most of them can't watch it when I'm doing it because they're busy or something going on, but they watch it on YouTube and everything afterwards. I guess me being me, I never went back and really looked at the stats on what other channels people watch it on, but I was kind of blown away. I had no clue that the following that I have is as good as it is. I had no idea. And again, bottom of my heart, I just really appreciate everything you guys do and jump on here and ask your questions. And I hope I'm steering you right. I hope everything's going good. But it's a pretty cool thing when you have people come up and want to shake your hand because they watch you on a little Turnin Dirt thing on every other Tuesday. It's pretty neat that I knew there was something out there that we need to do like this to get the knowledge out. Again, you guys have heard from me many a times. I learn by trial and error. I still to this day learn by trial and error. You tell me something won't grow at a certain time, I'll try to prove you wrong, just to see if it will. That's just how I am. But that's why I know what I know. Just because I try myself, I try different products, I try to do things that some say you can't do, and don't get me wrong, a lot of times they don't do it. But that's just how I learn. I always have. Anything from being in the garage with my dad working on a piece of equipment to learning how to weld, to do anything I've done in my life, I've learned by trial and error. And to me, that's the best way to learn. And with doing so, now I get to do this and and share the knowledge that I came up with over the last 30 some years of planting food plots and share it with you guys. So I really enjoy it more than you probably know. A lot of you probably think this is a burden on me. It's not. I actually look forward to this every other Tuesday. If I was a single man, I'd probably do it every Tuesday, but 2 times a month is good for her. So it's one of them type of deals. But and while we're on kind of a topic with the show, I will tell you something that happened this year at 2 different shows that it kind of disturbed me. It did. It really upset me. I'm not the person to talk bad about another company. I never will. You'll never hear me call out another company. But 2 different shows, one in Minnesota and one in Iowa. I actually had people come by wanting to buy products that I had because another person, another booth said they would grow. Not meaning Antler King brand, but a certain product, a certain species. Let me put it that way. And which is fine and dandy, but the information they were given was incorrect. Probably about a half a dozen times I had throughout 2 different shows. I had customers come back through that I already talked to and tried to buy something that for a shaded area that would not grow in a shaded area, just because another competitor told them that it would, and they were trying to sell it to them. This is something that drives me crazy. Don't get me wrong, we're all in it to make money, but trying to have somebody buy something because you got it in front of them, knowing that it won't grow, that's no sales tactic, man. It's not right. So it just really kind of burns me. I don't even know why I'm even telling you guys this. I guess just to play your cards right, you're talking to different people, make sure you get the facts, because number one, I'm not going to sell you something and tell you something that's going to grow and it doesn't, because you're going to be the first one to call me back after it doesn't grow, and I'm going to get an earful. It's not worth that. $20 bag of seed ain't worth that. Tell them the right thing to plant, when to plant it, how to plant it, and they would be successful. So again, I probably shouldn't have vented that much about it, but it's just really been kind of bugging me. So again, just play your cards right. Talk to all the companies you want to talk to, but do your homework before buying something, just to make sure that somebody's not just trying to get a sell out of it. Make sure that you're actually buying something that's going to work for your application. So, all right, let's get into this one. Springtime perennials here. I'll tell you what. Anybody out there that knows me knows I'm a diehard perennial guy, especially when it comes to forage clovers. It is one of my favorite things in the world. There's nothing better than a food source such as our trophy clover mix in a sunny area that is actually going to provide them deer 12 months worth of food. Number one, we use cool season seeds. We don't use warm season. We use all cool season seeds. That plant, no matter if you got 3 foot of snow over top of it, them plants are going to be green. They're going to be dormant. They're not going to be growing, but they're going to be green. So that's how we get the 12 months of food out of them. 12 months of forage, I should say. Our game changer clover, shaded area mixes. Wonderful, wonderful little bag of variety of clovers that grow in that shaded area. Clovers aren't all the same. They're not all equal. You got to make sure you get the right clovers, the right percentages of each one mixed in together to get optimal growth out of the area you're planting, especially when it comes to a shaded area. You don't want any kind of competition. You don't want certain ones trying to shade the other ones out because they're not hardly getting any sun anyway. So you really got to do your homework on that. That's what we're here for. That's why we've had one of these shade type mixes for 20 plus years. So it's just picking the right thing for your application. Now, if you get in headstrong with it like I do, a lot of people hear me talk about trophy clover all the time because it is by far my number one mix. It's my favorite thing. They could fire me tonight and I'll plant it tomorrow. That's how much I believe in that product. Along with the honey hole for our annual, our trophy deer mineral. That's 3 products that you cannot pry out of my hands if they fire me tonight. But the trophy clover is my number one for the tonnage of food and the longevity. But what I don't talk about a lot is how much I love alfalfa, like our Booner Buffet. Here in Illinois, we cannot use mineral licks. We can't bait. We can't feed. We can't supplemental feed. We can't do anything here in Illinois. 12 months out of the year, absolutely not, forbidden. So how do I get minerals to my deer? How I get minerals to my deer, besides their natural browse, which with their natural browse, they can never intake in all the minerals they need to do what we want them to do, as in growing a bigger bone structure, blood flow for the fawn, anything from lactating does to just anything, just herd health in general. They can never get what they need out of their natural browse and a mineral to give them what we really want to give them with a mineral lick, such as our trophy deer mineral. But again, here in Illinois, we can't use them. So that's when I turn to alfalfas and I turn to chicory. Alfalfa and chicory are both embedded with minerals. The plants have minerals embedded in them. So when the deer are eating them, they will actually intake in some extra mineral from their natural browse that they're normally getting. They're taking in more minerals than they normally would. Are they getting the minerals that we want them to get altogether? No, but at least they're getting more than what they can. So that's why a lot of times in a chicory plot, if you have a mineral lick and you ever watch a mineral lick, sometimes the deer hit it harder or something through the week. They might slow down a little bit, come back, hit it a little harder. Watch a straight chicory plot. Watch a trophy clover plot that has chicory in it. Them deer certain times will pick through the clover to get to the chicory. And then the next time you're hunting over it, they might pick through the chicory to get to the clover. Same way with the mineral lick. They're going to intake more in when they need it, and they know when they need it. So the Booner Buffet with the chicory and the alfalfa is a great tool for the states out there that you cannot use minerals. Now, let's not say that too loud, because then they probably banned us from using chicory and alfalfa. But it is a very good 2 different plants that you can plant that is going to definitely help the deer, help the herd. It's not going to give them everything they need, but it's definitely going to help them compared to what they have with this natural browse. And I apologize, guys, for the drinking. I've been half hoarse for the last 7 weeks talking at these shows and doing seminars and stuff. So, and just dry. But and here I am talking for an hour tonight. But no, getting back to the perennials, the trophy clover is the Mac Daddy for a good sun area, good soil, needs a good pH. You're getting 10 tons per acre of forage on that, 30% protein, big forage clovers. Now you get into the shaded area. I was just talking to a guy earlier. He's just getting ready to start working some ground, bought him a piece of property, never planned a food plot a day in his life, getting new in the deer hunting, and he didn't know what to plant. A sunny mix will not grow in a shaded area, but a shaded mix will grow even better in a sunny area. So you kind of got to look at it that way. If you have an area that you think that, well, I might not get 5 hours of sun like that trophy clover needs, I might only get about 4, might only get 3 in this spot, it's better to use a shaded mix, just because if it does get a little bit more, you're just going to add more tonnage to that game changer clover. So don't skip out and think, well, I don't know, I might get 4 hours, might get 5. Let's plant the trophy clover. Because if you're not getting a good 5 hours or so of sun, that plant will never perform the way it should. Now, the game changer clover, like I said, it will grow a lot better in a sunny area. It grows very well in a shaded area, but it'll grow really, really well in a sunny area. So if you have them backwoods, logging roads, cut out a piece in the timber, That's the mix you want to use. Will it grow in the dark? No, it will not. I had that question a lot at the Illinois show last weekend. People looking for something that, they want something to grow in a jungle. I'm not going to sell them a bag of Game Changer clover or our No Sweat or annual just because I know it's not going to grow in it, and I'll talk them out of it. You got to open that canopy up and get at least a good 3 hours of sun on that to be able to get some forage out of it. So don't let somebody talk you into something that you don't want to try and have bad results with, and then be upset the rest of the hunting season while you're sitting over in this bare dirt. So make sure that you're getting the sunlight. If you can't get 3 hours of sunlight on a plot, you're in trouble. All right, let's go through some of these questions here real quick before I just keep gabbing on here for you guys. Looks like I got a bunch of them on here. Well, Mark Coleman, good to see you on here, bud. Jeff Johnson, good to see you. Old Anthony, my old New York buddy. Hope you're doing good, man. Scott, you bring up a very good point here. You're talking about having half rack deer. Is it possible that added nutrition to plots help? Absolutely. Completely. It's something that when I first started to be able to use a mineral lick, especially in Indiana, I was blown away after about 2 years of using mineral on how long the deer would actually hold their racks. And compared to my Illinois farm, which, to tell you the truth, my Illinois farm and my Indiana farm are literally 3 miles away from each other. I'm right on the line on both of them, 3 miles away. And I will have deer drop in January in Illinois, and I'll have deer in turkey season still. I've actually had bucks in April in Indiana have both sides still on. Both sides. No lie. I've set turkey hunting and watched them walk by me. But now, in a normal scenario here, a lot of it can have to do too with the stress the deer was on. If they're stressed over a hard winter, yes, they're going to lose their antlers earlier. If they don't have that bad of a stress, they'll probably hold them. They're usually going to hold them longer than what they did the year before. But the nutritional value that you're giving them is definitely going to help them deer. The deer aren't stressed as much. Stress is the biggest thing that makes a deer lose its antlers. So when they're stressed out like that, they're going to lose them quicker. If you're offering them anything from feed to minerals, anything like that, you're actually taking the stress away from them deer and helping them hold on longer. So yes, you're exactly right. Mike McQueen, I appreciate it very much, man. You've been watching my videos and learning a lot of things. This is your first time live. Hey, man, I appreciate you very much. I appreciate all you guys. Oh, Mike from Erie, PA. Good to see you on here, bud. Jeff Johnson, the chicory is a perennial that can be overseeded onto the ground now and germinate when the ground temps get warm enough. Absolutely, Jeff. You can actually frost seed chicory. You can overseed it prior to the ground temps getting up to the temperature it needs to germinate. It'll lay there dormant. Then when the ground temps get up, the germination process will start. Work out very well. And yes, it is a perennial. Scott, you're exactly right. You stick with the Game Changer because most of you got sandy soil. Absolutely. That Game Changer is designed for that sandier soil where the trophy clover, you get into a loomy soil, it does okay as long as your pH is up. but not a real heavy sandy soil, especially sugar sand, where the Game Changer does a lot better. Them varieties of clover work a lot better. All right. Mike's asking a question that I get asked a lot, and I hate answering this question, Mike. But I'm going to, bud. Have you done much with liquid lime? I bet you I got asked this 30 times this last weekend at a show. Kind of goes back to me not talking bad about companies, because I won't. Have I personally used liquid lime on a food plot? No, I have not. Have I tested liquid lime between laboratory and stuff? Yes. I've probably tested over 20 different ones now. Talked to quite a few companies about liquid lime. The simplest answer I can give you on how liquid lime works is I asked 10 of the biggest farmers that I know, why don't you use liquid lime? And they tell me if liquid lime works the way that they say it does, and as cheap as it does, every farmer in the United States would be using liquid lime, and everyone uses ag lime. There is no way possible that I have found, and I'm not saying it's not possible, not saying that it's not, I'm just saying what I have found with my research. I have not found a way that liquid lime can replace the amount of ag lime that you need or pelletized lime that you need and keep the longevity in such a small liquid amount. I don't see it. I can't see it. I can't find a way. But one thing I have found, and here we go back to making people think again, 90% of the ones that I have tested have nitrogen added to them. And it states right on the bottle. They got to do it by law. It's right on the bottle. 2%, 3%, 9% nitrogen. So what happens when you go out and you're like, man, my food plot, the pH is low, the plants aren't looking good. Let's go out and put this liquid lime on. And all of a sudden, within a few days, it is green and beautiful and just going crazy. And you think, man, that is the best thing since sliced bread. The nitrogen is what greened all that up. It's not the pH. The nitrogen greened it up. So, to me, that's a little misleading when you have nitrogen added to something that you're calling a pH enhancer. Now, will it enhance pH? Absolutely. It'll enhance your pH. But it is very, very short-lived. Look at this bottle right here. Plot Max. Something we've had out for 24 years, 25 years. That is a soil conditioner. I get asked all the time. It says it enhances your pH. It will, but as if you read even farther, it says it's very, very short-lived. It's humic acid. It is made to break down your soil and not to enhance your pH. But since it's humic acid, that acid will enhance your pH, but it's going to be very, very short-lived. It's not made to be pretty much your go-to thing to raise your pH. Now, will it bump it right when you first put it on? Is it going to do good? Absolutely. Just because of the acid and the carbon. But it's very short-lived. And when I mean short-lived, I mean weeks. That's it. So it's not made to be a pH enhancer. So these other ones that I have tested, they do the exact same thing, but you're not getting the longevity out of them. And you're not getting the spike they say it's going to spike that I've ever, and with all of our testing and at corporate, there is no, you're not taking a 2.5 gallon bottle and mixing it with water and putting it on an acre food plot and jumping 6 points. You're not doing it. There's no way. None at all. So I guess it's to get off this topic, Mike. I'll just say I'm going to stick with ag lime and pelletized lime like I have for 30 plus years. I know it's messy, but I know the results. I know the longevity of it. You know, you're looking at pelletized lime. You know, you don't have the longevity of pelletized lime like you do ag lime, but with a pelletized lime, it's going to break down quicker for you. So it just depends if you want to throw your pelletized lime on there. You got a 3-month breakdown period. Ag lime, you got a 6-month. Ag lime, yes, it's going to work long. It's going to last longer. But for these backwood food plots, all that, it only takes 1/10 the amount of ag lime. It's the best way to go. I use all pelletized lime, and it works out very well. Jeff Johnson, should it be mowed like clover and alfalfa? I take it you're talking about chicory. Yes. The chicory needs to be mowed. If you're planting chicory all on its own like I do, I'll kind of see when that starts getting a good stem coming out of the center of that plant. That stem will actually put a flower on. When that flower comes on, that plant is going to be maturing out, going dormant. So I can usually see, I start seeing that stem come up out of the center of that plant, I'll mow it. Now, if you got it mixed in with your clovers and alfalfas, they are going to mature out and put the flower on before the chicory will. So usually you're always mowing already before the chicory even gets that mature state. So that's why a lot of times when you see it mixed in another mix with like our trophy clover with the 4 varieties of forage clover and a variety of chicory, you'll hardly ever see that chicory flower because you're already topping that plant when you see them flowers come on that clover. Kevin talking about soil with clay in it. Here's a big thing about clay. Everybody knows clay is a very hard soil, very sticky soil. I've planted some pretty good plots on some clay, but I'll tell you what, it all depends on ground prep. Now, you've heard me talk a lot about when I work up soil, especially black soil. Here in Illinois, where I'm at, I got good black dirt. It's good and fine. I only work up about 1.5 inches. That's all I do. Now, when it comes to clay, I take a tile probe and I'll go out in that food plot and I'll start sticking it in. If I get in there about 8 inches and I hit hard, like it's hitting concrete, you know you need to bust that plot up. Either take a plow and plow it up, disc it very, very good, or till it very, very good. But you need to bust that clay up and get it all worked up good. A lot of times with clay, you got to do it every couple, 3 years because it'll just get hard as hammered hell down there, and no root system is going to go through it. So it's best to get that all ripped up. Mark Coleman, Robbie, have you done any food plots yet this spring? I know you've been busy traveling. I'll tell you what, Mark, I haven't even looked for a deer antler this year. That's how busy I've been on the road. 7 weeks straight is just killing me. But that's all going to change come Sunday probably about Monday morning, about 2 o'clock when I roll in from Wisconsin. That's all going to change. I have looked, I did, excuse me, I did run down Monday and take a look. I've been watching everything on cameras on all my food plots, seeing what kind of green I got coming up. Because of me, I never frost seed. I only overseed into my clover. I always let the green start coming up so I can see how thick it is and if it needs it or not. And then I'll seed then. I did go down, take a little buggy ride, look clovers over. They're starting to come up out of the ground. The ground temp's starting to warm up. So here coming next couple of weeks, it's gonna be the tattletale sign of what I need to do. And but as of anything else in plots, I haven't, ma'am. Just pretty much keeping an eye on them with trail cameras. It's almost time though. You're welcome, Mike. Again, man, nothing against you and your question. It's just it's something I get asked a lot, and there are certain questions you'll find with me I hate to answer just because I feel like I'm talking bad about somebody's product, and I don't like doing that. Nothing to do with you. You ask the questions, and I'll answer them the way I feel comfortable. Uh, but that's what I mean. Nothing against your question, man. I mean, I like for people to know that just because, again, the testing that I do on products is pretty thorough, and uh, and if I don't know something, I have what we got now. We got 90 some nutritionists for Antler King now, Antler King and Kalmbach. I'll talk to them. I'll get a hold of companies that make these products. They don't know who I work for and who I am, so I'll kind of test the waters and talk to them a little bit to see what I can come up with. Um, and you probably would not believe the amount of products that I have in my Connex outside here from all different companies of stuff that I actually test here at the home farm on my test plots just to see if it really does what it's supposed to do. I mean, because again, trial and error, that's just how I do it. So you would probably think I work for about 40 different companies if you went out there and looked in my Connex right now and opened them big doors. So just because that's just how I am. Jason, got a client that does not want to use fertilizer. He's going to use lime. What should he use when he plants his clover in the spring? Should he just use Jolt, Clover Fuel, or Plot Max? Well, number one, Jason, I'm glad that he's using lime because of the pH of the soil is more important. I hope he's using it the proper way, testing the soil and building it up to getting it closer to that 7.0, because then them plants can actually benefit off the nutrition that's actually in the soil already. So that's a good thing. I still personally, I would fight tooth and nail to tell him to put some granular potash on, some 0060. But I totally understand if he doesn't. Some people just get set in their ways. Nothing wrong with that. But to answer your question, the Plot Max is help for the soil conditioner, and the Clover Fuel is definitely what you want to use on them clovers, because that Clover Fuel is a straight potash, 0028. You're going to feed the legume plants such as your clovers, your alfalfas, your peas, stuff like that. That's what you're going to feed. So you're not feeding the weeds and grasses. So last thing you want to do is put nitrogen on them clover plots. So straight potash is what you want, and it'll work out really well. Jeff's asking, how often do you need to lime with ag or pelleted lime? That's going to depend on a soil test, bud. Really, it depends on what you're planting. For the guys out there that plant a lot of brassicas, let's just say our honey hole, or just brassicas in general, turnips, radishes, kale, collard greens, stuff like that, trophy rape, stuff like that, them plants will destroy the soil in about 3 years. They will destroy it. Where your clovers, your alfalfas, your chicories, they're soil builders. They don't go through the pH like the brassicas will. So a lot of times on my clover plots, I'm seeing a point or two different each year. Not bad. I always add a few 100 pounds per acre, just to help. But and in theory, I do 200 pounds per acre. Exactly what I do a pelleted lime, and that usually pumps me right back up to where I want to be at. But in my clovers, but now my brassicas, I'm doing a soil test every year, and I'm pouring the pelletized lime to it. Old Dustin, man, you make sure you tell Huntley I said happy birthday, man. Good to see you on here, bud. Brian, good to see you on here from Wisconsin. Old Timmy Lambert, my old buddy Timmy. I was just talking about you today. I won't say on here what about though. Brian, like in the Antler King minerals, absolutely, man. That's what started this company, was the trophy deer mineral, and we just kind of went from there. Jeffrey, I don't know what's going on with you. Talking about writing backwards. I don't know what's going on there, bud. I've been known to write backwards before, but Mike's asking if anyone is use a new probe that does pH, ground temp, moisture, and something else. Mike, I have. Again, I test everything. I probably own 4 or 5 of them, and all different ones. I will tell you something about a probe. Some of the companies actually stated on their directions, some don't. You don't want to stick the probe in dry ground. You want that ground. You always want that to be moist, and to be moist, you want to use distilled water. So the best thing that you can do is actually take the probe, stick it into the dry ground, pull it out, and that little hole that it makes, just dribble some distilled water in that hole, stick your probe back in, and then wait your time. Some of them are 10 minutes, some of them are 5, some of them are 3, but use distilled water. But make sure when you're using distilled water, as soon as you pour it in there, put the cap back on your bottle, because the pH of that distilled water will change from the atmosphere, the pH in the air. So Mike, absolutely not. 7.1 ain't going to hurt nothing, bud. There's a lot of guys that wish they had a 7.1. But yes, we stayed a 6.2 to a 7.0. 7.0 is the best you can get. That's neutral. 7.1, nothing to worry about, bud. Scouts want to know how you get your hands on one of these Antler King baseball caps. Right online, bud. AntlerKing.com. We got them all on there. Actually, we got this one and I think 4 other ones now. We got a new leather patch one in there now. It's pretty nice. And I know Mark Coleman's probably shaking his head right now because I just sent him an order and they've got to put his hat in there with it. And he's biting at the bit to get his hat. Scott, yes, your potash like a 0060 is going to be in granular form, as in then you also have the clover fuel that you can get, which is liquid form. But if you go out and get like a 0060 or a 02020, something like that, you're going to get it in the granular form. Tim, you're exactly right. Lime also depends on soil type and organic matter. You're exactly right, 100%. If you look at getting a soil test done, they're going to ask you what type of soil you have. If you do a pH kit test like our pH kits, when you check your pH on that and you get your the number that you are, then our chart actually has black soil, clay soil, sandy soil, and you can see the difference in the amount of lime it takes for all different 3. And you'll be blown away on how certain soils take more to build that pH up than others. All right, I think I got through all them questions. Now I forgot what I was even talking about. But we kind of went through some of the fertilizer stuff here. I'll wait for you guys to ask more questions here. But a lot of good questions there. You know, not only is picking the proper perennial to use for your application, plant it the proper way, never overseeding a food plot. You never want to plant a food plot heavy. You always want to overseed it. You always want to seed it or heavy. Good Lord, Rob, you need to go to bed tonight. On a food plot, you need to seed it with a recommended rate or light. You never want to go heavy. So you got picking the right one, never overseeding a perennial food plot or any food plot in general. And then your proper fertilizer. You know, clovers, they're going to suck in nitrogen from the atmosphere. Chicory is going to suck in the nitrogen that's buried way deep down in that long root system it has, and it's going to suck it up. So you don't need to put nitrogen on these plots. That's why with these legume plants, they only need the potash. The more nitrogen you feed to them, the more you're feeding weeds and grasses. So the clover fuel is ideal for a foliar fertilizer. 0060 is my best friend when it comes to a granular fertilizer. And then while we're at it, we got weed control. You know, we're always going to have weeds, especially that first year. That first year of a perennial plot is the ugliest plot you can ever have. So, you know, like I've thrown on here many a times here, the best thing you can do, oh, there we go. Clethodim. Clethodim is going to be your best friend when it comes to grass control in your clover plots, your chicory plots, and your alfalfa plots. Now, you get over to the heavy weeds, there's your Boot Rack 200, your 2,4-D-B. It better have that B as a boy on the back of it. If it don't have that B on it, then you're going to kill it all. So 2,4-D-B, the Boot Rack 200. This is one that you definitely want to watch with your chicory because it will kill chicory. Now, if you can catch your weed growth at a very young age where you can spray with a light dose of the 2,4-D-B, a lot of times it's going to stun that chicory for a couple of weeks and then it'll bounce right back. But if you got to put very hot of a dose on it, it will kill the chicory that might be mixed in with the two mixes you have as in your trophy clover or your Booner Buffet. So you really want to watch that. My trophy clover, my Booner Buffet that has a chicory mixed in with it, and including my straight chicory plots that I plant every year, I only mow them for weed control. I never spray a herbicide on them for weeds. I only spray clethodim on them for grass. So I use a mowing method just for weed control only. And if we have a lot of moisture and it is not 950 degrees out, I'll mow them almost down to the dirt. I'll mow them just like I do my yard. I don't care if they're 20 inches tall. I'll mow them all the way down and let them go again. A lot of times they're going to smother out and outgrow them weeds. But if you don't have the moisture, you're going to fry the plot. So you really want to watch doing that. See if we've got anything else here. Jason, yes, the clover fuel is organic. Yes. Dustin, you got that right. Weeds can be the devil in a hurry. Mark Coleman, you still hand broadcast everything, and ideally right before a good rain. I do. Yes, absolutely, I do. You'll see me hand broadcast in 3 or 4 acres. It's just because with all the years of doing it, I just found the right touch on getting the seed down, the amount of seed down that I want. A bag seeder is my favorite one. The solo feeders are nice too, or seeders are nice too, but I really like a bag seeder, and I can really get a good fill on it, and it just disperses the seeds a lot better. Dustin, yeah, the weatherman can be wrong a lot. I know 2 years ago. Last year, I can't remember when we finally got rain. 2 years, I just look at my book. 2 years ago, I planted the honey hole right before, supposed to get a good 1.5 inch rain. We've been in a drought for 3 months and planted the honey hole. Rain's supposed to come in that night. I planted it August 15th. No rain showed up. It never rained a drop until the 3rd of October. And them seeds just laid there dormant, bare dirt. It was so dry the grass wouldn't even grow and weeds wouldn't even grow in the plot. That's how dry it was. But I'll tell you what, after that rain came through, that honey hole pop jumped up. Now, did I get full growth out of it before the first frost? No, but I had some really good greens there for them deer, and they hammered them. So I had about half growth. Dustin talking about collar packing. Yes, I always seed on a firm seed bed, so I will always pack my soil, broadcast my seed, and pack it again. I never drag it. I never try to cover it. I just pack it. Too easy to get the seeds too deep and cover them up too much, and you're done. Randy, yes, IMOX is a very good one, very expensive one, but it is a very good product too for both grass and weeds. Scott's talking about he prefers fall food plots. This spring he's planting some clover. Wanting to know if he should terminate it or just seed right over into it. I'll tell you what, Scott, planting that clover this spring in your annual plots is the best thing you ever do. Number one, you're going to feed the deer. Number two, them clovers are going to feed the soil full of nitrogen, which them annuals you're going to plant this fall is going to thrive on. So it's pretty much free fertilizer, except for what it costs you to throw that bag of seed down there. Couple ways to look at it. If you're able to work the soil, if you don't have such a big, bad, weedy mess and grassy mess, I would just turn the clover under lightly, 1.5 2 inches. Just grind it up in the soil for organic matter, especially in sandier soil, like you're talking. It's going to help with organic matter. But now, if it's real weedy, real grassy, I would kill them root systems before you till it under. I'm going to give you organic matter, but at least you know them root systems are killed off. You're always going to pull up new weed seed when you till or disc the ground, but at least you know the ones that are there, they're terminated. Probably the worst thing to do is try to seed into that clover because you'll lose a lot of germination because them clovers, number one, you already got plants there that are competing with each other for nutrition. So you throw in some new seedlings in there, it's not a good way to go. So it's better to terminate it. Sean's on here. The Graniac block is the best in the market by far. Run comparisons against all their blocks in the market 2 times over multiple growing seasons, and nothing compares. Sean, I appreciate that, bud. You can't believe the number of people that have sent us videos in or sent me videos in of them comparing our blocks to other people's blocks. It's amazing. So I appreciate you very much, man. Mike, your garden was at a 4.7. I bet you didn't hardly have any weeds or nothing in there. I bet not. Mark Cohen, what is in your opinion, what's the best food plot to plant to attract turkeys? Asking if chicory is it. Chicory is a good one. I kill all my turkeys over trophy clover. They love getting in there bugging it. Now, if you're down in the south where it works better, you can get it to work up here. You just got to do the thing. Chufa is a very good plant. We used to carry it. We kind of got out. The cells just weren't there in this area. It was in the southern part. It's better for that sandier soil, looser soil, just because them peanuts and that root system. You get in this hard soil or hard clay, them turkeys can't dig it up to get to it. What I found in testing it, which worked out very, very well, is you just right before season go in there with your disc and lightly go over the top of that plot with your disc, and then it turn all them peanuts up and it pull them up to the surface, and then the turkeys can get to them. We're down in the southern states or in the very far north where it's all sandier. They can just get them right out of the ground themselves. But chicory, clover, alfalfa, man, them turkeys love bugging in that stuff. And It works out very well. Do you have any recommendations on not getting the turnips too big? My soil is great pH, but a lot of my turnips get softball size and bigger, which I assume is a good problem to have because I seed it right to tennis ball size. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have tennis ball size, baseball size at the biggest. It really is going to go as when you plant your plot. Now, a lot of people plant way too early, which is the wrong thing to do. You never want a brassica to mature out prior to the very first frost. You want it in its growing state as that frost hits it to kill it. You can play with the turnip size. Number one, if you don't want any bulb sizes, quit fertilizing it. Then you're not going to have any bulbs. But the fertilizer is doing it for it. The type of turnips you're using, like we have, they're made to get that big. I plant them a little later in the year so they don't get that big. Labor Day weekend, between the 1st of August and the 1st of September is an ungodly difference in the size of bulbs. Usually go 1st of September, you get what I call the softball to almost soccer ball size turnips. Plant Labor Day weekend down to that baseball size. If you're not having very much moisture, they could be down to tennis ball size. Depends on Mother Nature as well. But a little later planting will definitely cut down that bulb size. Steve Cooney, good to see you, my friend. Well, good to see your name on here anyway. Rob's asking if he's planting some apple trees. Would it harm his clover plot if they're planted next to him or in them? Not so much, Rob. One thing you will notice eventually is trees love moisture and they grow a pretty good root system. And a lot of times they grow an out root system just as much as they go down. So you might start seeing some starvation from the plants on moisture as the trees mature up and get bigger. But that will be some time. But no, that's the only negative thing about a tree next to a plot is they will suck the moisture. Mike's asking, his clover plot came in thin last year. Instead of killing everything off, can I use a pull behind star aerator and seed more clover into the plot before the rain? Actually, Mike, if it came in thin and it's still pretty thin right now, which it should be, you should, I mean, you could just go right in there right now and just broadcast right over into it. Especially before a rain or anything like that, because whatever seed that does get caught on a plant. And Mike, I don't know where you're from, so I can't remember. I think you said it on here, but your plant shouldn't be that tall right now. If you have anything at all, you just broadcast right over it. Just overcast right into that clover prior to a rain and let Mother Nature set them. Scott, I got you on throwing them oat seeds, didn't I? It works very well to attract turkeys. I think I'll just leave that one right there. I don't know if we're going to game wardens listen or not. All right, guys, we just got a few more minutes here. What else we got here before we got to jump off here? Mike's asking, they sell bulk pelletized lime. Actually, they do, but you're gonna have to get it from a fertilizer plant. That's where I get a lot of mine from. They actually sell it to you by the ton. If you want to buy a ton, they'll load it on your trailer with a loader, whatever. Another one that I use they actually have big 2,000-pound bags, and they have put, sometimes I'll just go get 400 pounds, 500 pounds, and they just auger it right into it and throw it in the back of my truck, lift it up with a loader and set it in the back of my truck, and I just scoop out of it. Or a lot of times, what I like doing, sometimes you get around, like here, we have the Rural Kings, we have the Runnings box stores, and it never fails. I can go to Rural King, and I just did here the other day and bought a bunch of it. You go and you get ready to walk up to the door, and you see a pallet sitting out there, and it's all ripped bags that they've taped up, and they're 50% off. And I don't know how many bags I bought for 75% off the other day. I think I ended up giving like 95 cents a bag, and all of them probably had at least 40 to 50 pounds in them in a 60-pound bag. So it's worth calling around to see if anybody has any busted bags, or if you have any fertilizer dealer plants around there that allow you to do that. That's how I even do my fertilizer. Like my 0060, I go to the fertilizer plant that the farmers use. They got all that in their buildings there, and they actually let me go in there. Now I take feed bags. I used to take 5-gallon buckets, but I'll take feed bags with a shovel. I'll go in, I'll shovel my bags full, put them back in my truck or my trailer. They'll weigh me in, they'll weigh me out, and it costs hardly nothing. I buy about a ton of 0060 for about, I think last year I paid $400 for it for a ton, and that's about $1,400 if I was going and buying it by the bag. Jeff, look good seeing you on Friday, bud, or Saturday. I'm sorry, Saturday at the show. I appreciate the help. Good deal, Scott. Killed your first tag in the first turkey season last year. Congratulations, man. Jeffrey, the deer will eat the bigger turnips and the bigger radishes, like Dustin was talking about, the great big ones. But what you'll see a lot of is they have a hard time. They like, if you ever watch deer in a cornfield and grab an ear of corn and just roll it around and eat on that, and, I mean, they can take every bit of corn off that. That's how they like them turnips and them radishes. What you see with the bigger ones, you'll see mostly them, they can't get them out of the ground, so they eat them down to the ground. They eat the tops off of them, then go to the next one, then go to the next one. They just can't get it all out of that ground if it's froze. All right, guys, time's up. I appreciate everything. We'll be back on here a week from Tuesday. So by then I'll be off the road and living life good then, guys. So if you need anything, feel free to reach out and give me a holler. You guys have a good night. We'll talk soon. Take care.